Part 97. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 984. After Kaming's words fell, a group of fallen angels and mercenaries who had recently joined Lost Paradise responded, and began to move things under the command of some fallen angels. When Kame walked out of the warehouse and came outside, Makuran, who was sitting on the supply box and throwing his dagger boredly, asked casually, "What are you doing looking for these things? These are some extremely rare alloys and elements, and none of us are good at scientific research. And what you have done recently is very dangerous, and I can foresee that the days ahead for us will be very difficult." Kaming chuckled upon hearing this. "What you do in this universe is not dangerous. Don't worry, I have channels to deal with these things. Soon you will have sufficient resources to improve yourself, perfect the fallen angel super gene in your body, and become more powerful." Kame is not afraid that his men will betray him when they become stronger, because he not only has the force to suppress all instability, but also has the technical data for fallen angels to upgrade themselves. This allowed him to win over many fallen angels living in the Pocket Nebula during this period. Some of them were strong and some were weak. Some are as strong as second-generation super soldiers, while others are as weak as first-generation super soldiers. The reason why this is so is because they lack upgrade technology. There is no upgrade information above the second generation in Angel Gene, and they cannot upgrade even if they obtain enough resources. However, the god of death, Karl, gave Karma the Stygian super warrior and the upgrade technology of the divine body. This is something that can arouse competition among aerospace level and even first-time god-making civilizations. It can be said that the god of death, Karl, has sacrificed a lot in order to allow Kaming to better win over the fallen angels. He even promised that he could synthesize the resources needed to upgrade the super gene for Kaming for free. Of course, the raw materials needed to be provided by the fallen angels themselves. After all, Styx was not rich either. Just as Kame and Makuran were chatting at the resource collection satellite dock, a red flash of light rushed from the dark cosmic starry sky. A small transport ship that had just finished loading was cut in half by a passing red slash the moment it left the dock. Before the fallen angel in the resource collection satellite could react, a dazzling light shot out from the starry sky and directly hit the dock exit. The terrifying energy and high heat quickly eroded the shell of the resource collection satellite dock and spread to the interior of the dock. The space mercenary who was carrying the resource storage box didn't even scream, and was swallowed up by the spreading orange-red glow and turned into ashes. Kaming moved to block in front of the curtain blade. He swiped the dark heavy sword in his hand and threw out a purple energy slash, blocking the spreading energy glow for a moment. Then a horrific explosion occurred, and the dock shell of the resource collection satellite was directly blown into pieces flying everywhere, exposing the devastated dock inside. Kame pushed away the debris that was pressing on him, and the curtain blade behind him did the same. Looking at a body torn apart by the explosion floating over, Kaming looked ugly, because nearly half of the 200 to 300 mortal men he had recruited were wiped out by the attack just now. In the distance, Angel Wen was not in a hurry to let the angel warriors she led rush over. Instead, she carried out long-range strikes in an area more than 10 kilometers away from the resource collection planet. Their task is to evaluate and annihilate the fallen angels if they are not strong enough. If the fallen angels have the ability to fight against and destroy them, then the next task of encircling and suppressing these fallen angels will be handed over to Angel Leng. "Sister Wen, it seems that the other party has not come out. Do you want to continue?" "Continue, it's not us who will be beaten anyway, until we blow them out of the resource collection satellite." Upon hearing this, the nearby angels began to prepare for the flame bombardment, while the high-ranking angels were planning the heavenly blade judgment. Because of the distance, they have enough time to accumulate energy and calculate, which can greatly improve the range and power of sky blade judgment and flame bombing. On the resource collection satellite, Kame has noticed that energy is beginning to gather in the distance, so he said decisively in the communication. Don't move, just take the things you've packed and we'll leave here immediately. The fallen angels and I blocked the enemy together, then broke out separately, and we met at the assembly point. After saying that, Kaming incited the dark angel wings behind him and rushed towards the detected energy source, followed closely by the curtain blade and a group of fallen angels. The mortal mercenaries quickly took advantage of this opportunity to enter the few transport ships and warships that were still intact, pulled the things on board, and quickly sailed in the other direction. Sister Wen, they are coming out. Angel 11 said in surprise, and Angel Wen naturally saw the fallen angels rushing out of the resource collection satellite. You actually took the initiative to come to us? You're really not afraid of running into tough problems. Retreat, don't stop the flame bombardment, evade them first and then talk. Angel Wen issued the order. As an angel with rich combat experience and a good understanding of the Pocket Nebula, she knew that the appearance of the fallen angel group was very abnormal. Not to mention the fallen angels who can kill high-level angels. There must be some support behind this, and the most likely one is of course the god of death, Karl. Angel Wen has not forgotten that hundreds of years ago she investigated the attack on Angel Chase and discovered the mysterious god-killing weapon. Although Queen Keisha finally asked her to stop the investigation, Angel Wen could say that it was Karl, the god of death, who did it. Because except for Styx, there are few civilizations in the known universe that can provide the Hayden civilization rebels with so many god-killing weapons. Therefore, when she discovered that the fallen angels did not escape, but actively attacked the area where they were located, Angel Wen chose to avoid hand-to-hand combat just to be on the safe side. However, Angel Wen asked the two combat teams to leave among them and make a large arc to block the escaping warships. The order is still to focus on long-range destruction to avoid close combat. Because it was done quietly and there was still some distance between the two sides, the female angels division of troops was not noticed by Kaming and his group of fallen angels. Although Kamen was doubtful about the female angels' retreat, he didn't pay much attention to it because it just allowed them to achieve their goal and cover the evacuation of the transport fleet. But Kame's good mood did not last long, because a communication requesting support soon came from the transport fleet. But now the distance between the two sides has exceeded 10,000 kilometers, and it will take a lot of time to get there. Angel Wen received the news that her angel team had succeeded, and asked her soldiers to stop retreating, intending to test the strength of this group of fallen angels. The angels listened to the order, and the battle formation quickly divided each other to annihilate them. But remember not to charge too hard and be prepared to break away from the battle at any time. The moment the words fell, Angel Wen took the lead and charged forward, heading towards Kaming, the most conspicuous among the fallen angels. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 985. Before the angel warriors came into contact with the fallen angels, several flame bombardments struck the opposite side first, swallowing up several fallen angels who were unable to dodge. Then dozens of flaming slashes were thrown by the angel warriors. Among the fallen angels, the energy-driven algorithm chose to fight back, but more of them could only dodge in a hurry. From the fallen angels' response, Angel Wen roughly understood the opponent's level. They were almost all second generation, and only a few of the third generation were Liao Liao. Therefore, Angel Wen no longer paid attention to those ordinary fallen angels, but struck with a sharp flaming slash at the approaching fallen angel Kaming. Kaming smashed the incoming attack into energy fragments with a sweeping blow, and then aimed a sharp thrust at Angel Wen behind him. The flaming sword, which was burning with glowing energy, collided with the heavy sword, which was dark and glowing with faint purple light, and a circle of faint energy ripples erupted. Angel Wen frowned slightly, and kept moving her hands, slashing out the flaming sword frequently, and energy slashes flew out one after another. Kaming suddenly felt a pressure. Although he had the third generation of Styx void engine and the first generation of Styx divine body, how could his combat experience be compared with that of a god-level angel who had experienced hundreds of battles? After just a few confrontations, Angel Wen was suppressed and could only defend passively. This mainly relied on the void engine's ability to eliminate dark energy. Otherwise, the weapon in his hand would have been unable to withstand such high-frequency attacks from the opponent and would have been damaged. Ming could withstand Angel Wen's fierce attack, but the fallen angels under his command could not. As soon as the two sides met, several fallen angels were killed by the angel warriors' swords. The few fallen angels who had followed Ming for the longest time were also in a hurry under the attack of high-level angels. Seeing that if things continued like this, all the subordinates he had managed to recruit would be lost here, Ming immediately gave up all thoughts of continuing to struggle with Angel Wen. Raising his hand, the purple energy light quickly gathered in Ming's hand, and was then thrown in the direction of Angel Wen, exploding instantly. A circle of purple energy fluctuations swept through the bodies of all the angels and fallen angels present, and in an instant, the movements of the angels and fallen angels were stunned. Ming took the opportunity to fly in the direction of the nearest subordinate, and swept away the high-level angel entangled with him with a sword. "Get rid of these angels, let's retreat first." After saying that, Ming found a random direction and left the battle circle. The fallen angel who was still entangled with the angel suddenly dispersed. This allowed the angel warriors to seize the opportunity and immediately surrounded some of the fallen angels who had no time to escape. Angel Wen did not chase the escaped Ming, but began to cooperate with the angel warriors present to annihilate a dozen fallen angels who were surrounded. It's not that Angel Wen doesn't want to chase, but that Ming's strength is a bit unexpected. It will probably take a long time to kill the opponent. If something happened to the angels he led during this period, Angel Wen would not be able to forgive herself. Therefore, after a short weighing of the pros and cons, Angel Wen chose to stay, but she did not give up her mission to hunt down Ming. The original evaluation task turned into a trial task after it was discovered that Ming's strength did not exceed hers. The next task of judging the fallen angel gang fell on her. The fallen angels who broke out on the other side reunited at the predetermined rendezvous point. Looking at the fallen angels who were no longer as confident as before, Ming sighed slightly. He did not expect Merlot Heavenly Court to react so quickly. It took only a short time to send out nearly 30 angel warriors to encircle and suppress them. Among them, there are more than 10 high-level angels, and there is also a powerful god-level angel. Looking around at the remaining fallen angels, Ming felt a pain in his heart because he found that there were nearly 30 fallen angels missing. Although they are basically fallen angels who have just joined Lost Paradise, they can be considered to be exhausted. "Boss, what should we do next?" Facing the inquiries from his subordinates, Ming suddenly felt a headache. He had just found some clues in Pocket Nebula when he was approached by an angel. If something like this happened, he would definitely not be able to stay here. This shouldn't be the end. Angel civilization is not that easy to deal with. I feel that our next situation will be very difficult. Muren sighed. She originally thought she could live a peaceful life after being rescued by Kame and joining Lost Paradise. Unexpectedly, only a few months later, they would be encircled and suppressed by angels again, and some of the surviving members of the mercenary group were also wiped out during the evacuation process. It would be ridiculous to say that I feel sad for them, but I can't help but feel a sense of sadness in my heart. Just when the atmosphere at the scene was a little heavy, several fallen angels who had just joined Lost Paradise looked at each other and came to Kaming and said, "Boss Kame, we want to exit Lost Paradise." Kaming, who was thinking about where to go next, turned around and looked at the 4 fallen angels after hearing this. "Do you think you can clear your relationship with Paradise Lost by leaving now?" "Boss Kaming, it's not that we don't want to continue to follow you, but our strength is too low, and following you will only be a drag on you." So we thought about it carefully and decided that it would be better for us to leave. The conversation between these fallen angels and Kame was also heard by other fallen angels around them. Some turned their heads disdainfully and stopped paying attention, while others looked uncertain, obviously considering whether to leave Paradise Lost. Seeing that these four fallen angels had decided to leave, Kaming's expression became cold and he spoke directly. "Since you really want to leave, I won't force you to stay." After saying this, Kaming stopped looking at them. When they saw Kaming agreeing, a look of joy appeared on their faces. They didn't expect that they could escape from the Lost Paradise so easily. After the four fallen angels left the base of Lost Paradise, Kame glanced at his cronies. Seeing this, a fallen angel who had been standing there watching the developments with a cold eye turned around and quietly followed the four fallen angels who had just left. Muren was not surprised when he saw this scene. No one present was a good person. It was too risky to let go of four fallen angels who wanted to quit. Not to mention the possibility of exposing the location of this base, some of their future plans and other important information may also be leaked. Therefore, after joining Lost Paradise, it is basically impossible to withdraw. Muren knew about this as early as the first day he joined, but he didn't have much resistance to it, because the mercenaries working in the Bach Nebula basically knew this rule. Even the mercenary group she once established has this unspoken rule. If you want to quit, you can, but you must pay a sufficient price, otherwise everyone is on the same boat. This can effectively avoid the appearance of traitors. More than half an hour later, the fallen angel who left came back, returning to the corner where he was before as if nothing had happened. At this time, Kaming walked among the fallen angels and made a little noise to attract the attention of everyone present. "Everyone knows that we are being targeted by angels, so we can no longer stay in the Bach Nebula. But don't worry too much. We can't stay in the Bach Nebula anymore. We'll just find another place to develop." While speaking, Kame projected a star map, pointing to an area, which is the Kamigawa Tiandeo galaxy, which is relatively far away from the radiation circle of the Order of Justice. It is suitable as a star field for the future development of Paradise Lost. As for the Liang civilization, Kaming would not think that they would be as nosy as angels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 986. Now that he had decided to leave, Kame wasted no time. According to some information he got from Carl, the angel's eyes of insight were very powerful and could read the target's activity information. In this case, this base would not be hidden for long, so after confirming the decision to go to the Kamigawa Tiandeo galaxy for development, Kamen immediately contacted Carl and requested to use the sticks to build a large insect bridge in the Pocket Nebula. Of course, Carl had no reason to disapprove. After all, Kamen was the force he supported, and Kamigawa Tiandeo also needed some sparks. Therefore, Carl deliberately took action to erase the traces of Kamen leaving the Pocket Nebula. When Angel Wen led the team to chase the abandoned base of Lost Paradise, the fallen angel had already left with his family fortune, and the clues were cut off here. Even the Eye of Insight found no useful information. On the edge of the Kamigawa Tiandeo galaxy, on an unnamed Death Star, a small Gothic palace is located here. Snow, Carl's agent, is standing at the palace gate waiting for something. Suddenly there was a fiery red halo in the sky, and a flaming meteor fell from the sky and reached the palace in the blink of an eye before exploding, revealing a middle-aged man wearing retro light armor with a resolute face. He was Panzhen, the regent of Liang. "I am deeply honored that your majesty the regent is willing to condescend to come to my sticks. My god has been waiting there for a long time." Snow made an inviting gesture, and the closed palace door behind him quietly opened inwards. Panzhen didn't say anything and walked in. There are no luxurious decorations in the entire palace, only a well-lit hall and 2 chairs. As soon as Pan Zhen came in, Karl's figure slowly solidified on one of the top chairs. "Your Majesty the Regent, please take a seat. The conditions are simple, so please forgive me." Pan Zhen didn't say anything, just sat down and leaned on the position, getting straight to the point. "Karl, God of Death, I don't know what purpose you came here for. But this Grand Master has spent decades studying you. Of course, compared with your long life, this amount of time is just a scratch. But I also have a little understanding of you." When saying this, Pan Zhen also made a so-called little bit gesture with his thumb and index finger. "Tell me, what do you want to get from Liang? And what do you plan to give?" Pan Zhen didn't care about Karl's purpose, and the technology deal with Binghua gave Pan Zhen a taste of the benefits. Pan Zhen found that instead of Liang slowly building his own business behind closed doors, borrowing technologies from other civilizations might be a way out. Karl was a little surprised by Pan Zhen's attitude. He thought that due to Liang's exclusiveness, this conversation with Pan Zhen would be difficult. "Your Majesty the Prince Regent is really candid. In this case, I don't need to waste any more words. There is a research project at Death Song Academy that requires exploding the black hole of the Peacock Galaxy, but our Styx's power alone is not enough, so we need the help of Liang." Pan Zhen became interested after hearing this. Exploding a black hole is a rare thing. According to the records of Liang's civilization, the only one in the known universe that has done anything to black holes is the Super Seminary in its heyday. At that time, almost the entire known universe's power was gathered to successfully cool down a black hole. Now Karl actually said that he wanted to explode the black hole. Pan Zhen was a little curious about what the other party planned to do. "Can you tell me more specifically? After all, it's impossible for us Liang to step into it. If you sell us by then, we won't have anywhere to reason with you." Pan Zhen didn't trust Karl very much. If what he said later was not feasible or the risk was too great, then the conversation could be ended in advance. "Your Majesty the Regent, I come to you for cooperation with sincerity. As for the method of exploding the black hole of the Peacock Galaxy, I can only speculate. More than 10,000 years ago, under the leadership of my teacher, the Angel Super Seminary spent nearly 1,000 years cooling a black hole. At that time, the college found an extremely rare mysterious substance in the cooled black hole. Since you have studied me, you should know that I have no entity now and cannot be detected or touched. Angels call this state of my body an illusion, and it is caused by the mysterious substance found in the black hole." Pan Zhen felt something in his heart when he heard this. Even angels couldn't do anything about Karl's phantom body. This was one of the reasons why Liang's Grand Master studied Karl. But now that Pan Zhen knew that Karl's phantom body actually came from the influence of black hole matter, he immediately became interested in Karl's plan to explode the black hole in the Peacock Galaxy. In other words, this mysterious substance can be obtained after exploding a black hole. "Yes, Your Excellency the Regent, I can guarantee that as long as Liang assists Styx in exploding the black hole, Liang will get the share he deserves no matter how many copies of this material he obtains." Karl promised. He knew that Pan Zhen was moved. Liang studied him, and he also studied Liang. Karl knew very well that Pan Zhen, the regent of Liang, was a person who would do anything for Liang. As long as it was beneficial to the development of Liang, he would do it, whether it was justice or evil. "Tell me how you plan to let us, Liang, cooperate with you." After Pan Zhen pondered for a moment, he finally decided to help Styx explode the black hole of the Peacock Galaxy. "During the last process of cooling a black hole, my teacher discovered a way to destroy the black hole more efficiently, and that is to use a large clock to simultaneously mobilize multiple stellar energy sources and the black hole to produce special reactions. But this process requires me to carry out very fine control, and I can't distract myself from mobilizing the stellar energy source. That's why I need your assistants, who are best at stellar driving. Carl didn't go into details, but Pan Zhen originally just wanted to learn from Carl what he needed to do in the process of blowing up the black hole with the blazing sun. Pan Zhen was relieved when he heard that it was only necessary to maintain the energy source of the driving star, because driving the star did not require Liang to send people to the scene. Today's Liang has its main god, the sun goddess Rena. It only needs to use the Tiandao Tower to build a beacon in the Peacock star field to exert influence on multiple stars. Afterwards, Carl discussed some details of the cooperation with Pan Zhen. After Pan Zhen left, Snow, who had been standing in the corner and listened, spoke up. My God, do we really want to give Liang a piece of void particles? That thing is extremely precious, and even we don't have it in stock now. Snow, although void particles are precious, it depends on whose hands they are. Except for Merlot Heaven, all the existing void particles in the entire known universe are in the Styx galaxy. We are the only ones with experience in developing and applying this kind of material. Even I cannot guarantee that every void particle can fulfill its role. Snow stopped talking immediately. As Carl's representative and the person who has followed Carl for the longest time, he knew that Carl brought 2 copies of the void particles with him when he left the Super Seminary and entered the Styx galaxy. One of them was researched by his teacher, the space principal, and the other was a material preserved by the Super Seminary. However, due to the destruction of the Dino civilization, the 2 void particles eventually fell into the hands of Carl, who inherited the rights to use the big clock. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 987. China. After reaching an agreement with Angel, China began the preliminary work of forming a unit codenamed Xiangbing Company. However, at present, the facilities of the Super Theological Seminary are not yet complete, and all the preliminary resources provided by the angels have not yet been in place. Even the instructors of the Super Theological Seminary have not been gathered together, so after consultations in various aspects, Tokyo and Shenzhou officials decided to recruit super gene bearers into the army for 2 years of training. After they became familiar with the army, they would enter the super seminary to activate the super gene seeds in their bodies. Do you think our mission will be successful this time? I investigated this kid and found out that his performance in school was very ordinary, nothing special about him. I think there's a good chance he'll refuse our special move. In a car driving in Juxia City, the young man driving the car was chatting with a girl with long burgundy hair sitting in the back seat. It doesn't matter. It's okay to refuse. It will save us a lot of trouble. The girl's voice was very cold, and she didn't care whether she could complete this special mission. Qiangwei, your father is also doing it for your own good. The Xiangbing Company will have a pivotal position in China in the future. Establishing a good relationship with those war gods will be of great benefit to the future status of the Dino survivors in China. Seeing this, the young man quickly tried to comfort him, but it seemed to have the opposite effect. In that case, why didn't he tell me this in person? He just said I'll transfer you to the Xiangbing Company. Qiangwei's tone could not be called angry, but the young man could hear a trace of dissatisfaction in it. Seeing that any further words would arouse Qiangwei's anger, the young man quickly changed the topic. Okay, let's not talk about these unpleasant things, we are here. After saying that, the young man parked the car in front of a high school. After the two parked the car and entered the middle school, they found the principal of the school, showed their IDs, and explained their purpose. In a classroom, a female teacher was explaining the key points of future exams. She scanned the classroom with sharp eyes and found that most of the students were listening carefully and nodded with satisfaction. But suddenly her eyes glanced at a male student who was writing something with a pen on the desk with his head down. She immediately felt that Her Majesty was being challenged. She broke the chalk into 2 sections with her fingertips. The next second, It flew out like a bullet, hitting the student who had deserted in class in the head. Ge Xiaolun, who was describing in his textbook a big metal sword full of technology that he had dreamed about last night, felt a slight pain in his head and was startled. He looked up and saw his teacher's eyes glaring at him with dissatisfaction. Without the teacher having to say anything, Ge Xiaolun immediately stood up from his seat obediently, his head lowered and not daring to look at the teacher's expression on the podium. Fortunately, the teacher's lecture continued, which made Ge Xiaolun feel relieved in his heart. Fortunately, the teacher didn't have the same experience as him. But just when the bell was about to ring, the sound of the classroom door being lightly clicked attracted the attention of all the students in the classroom, and the steady male voice that followed immediately shocked Ge Xiaolun's heart. "Student Ge Xiaolun, please come to the principal's office." Facing the kind invitation from the dean, Ge Xiaolun immediately began to think about whether he had done anything illegal or disciplinary during this period. As a result, he couldn't figure it out after thinking about it. In the end, Ge Xiaolun could only say hello to the teacher nervously and walked out of the classroom while his classmates looked at him with inquiry or admiration. In the principal's office, Ge Xiaolun looked around uneasily. The principal and the dean who brought him were not there. There were only a young man with a tough face and a beautiful girl with burgundy long hair sitting opposite him. "Student Ge Xiaolun, please don't be nervous and introduce yourself. My name is Aja. I believe you should be wondering now why we called you here. But don't be afraid, we are looking for you to inform you that for some reason you have been specially recruited by the military academy, and we are here to deliver the admission notice." Ge Xiaolun became even more confused after hearing this, and said hesitantly, "I'm not questioning your intentions, but I've never applied for a military academy. How did you find me? This is a state secret. All you need to know, student Ge Xiaolun, is that there is a very precious opportunity in front of you now. As long as you agree to enter the military academy, after a period of further study, your future will be smooth." Aja confused Ge Xiaolun's question and started talking about the benefits. But Ge Xiaolun's eyes occasionally glanced at Qiangwei, who was holding her chest next to Aja and observing the school playground through the window. After a period of persuasion, Ge Xiaolun finally did not agree directly. He hesitated and said that he needed to think about it carefully and seek the opinions of his family. At the same time, in the interrogation room of the police station in Juxia City, a sturdy social youth wearing a plaid shirt was being handcuffed to a chair. Opposite him sat two men who looked very mysterious in black suits and sunglasses. Lu Chuang was detained for a street fight. "Looking at your file, it seems this is not the first time you have been admitted for this reason." "Hey, brothers, I didn't do this on purpose. Someone else hit me first. I was just self-defense, self-defense." Lu Chuang felt a little panicked at this moment, because the two policemen he usually dealt with were a little different, which made his tone of voice become much weaker. "Forget it, that's not why we are looking for you this time. We want to give you a chance to change your ways. Do you want to?" After closing the file in his hand, one of the men wearing sunglasses said straight to the point. "Our army is recruiting new recruits recently. I see that you are in good shape and can fight well. Do you want to join the army?" Hearing this, Lu Chuang looked stunned, and then his face became happy. "Oh, brother, I want to join the army. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity." But the words of the man in sunglasses poured cold water on Lu Chuang. "But before that, you must get rid of this hooliganism in you and cut off contact with your group of bad friends. And don't call me big brother, that's not a thing in the army." At the same time, in many places in China, some people were either specially recruited to join the army, or were asked to serve in the army by the local armed forces. Among them are students, unemployed young people, farmers, police academy students and other people from all walks of life. But in the eyes of China's top management and the Dino survivors, they are all carriers of supergenetic projects and an important force in safeguarding China's security in the future. China's current plan is to temporarily disrupt these people, and then gather them all together to train them after the Super Seminary is completed and all preparations are completed. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 988. Merlot Heavenly Court, Merlot Hall. Kesha was sitting in the seat of the King of Angels, her eyes scanning the high-ranking angels lined up below. The Holy Rite has completed its maintenance and scientific research tasks on Tiancheng, and now officially announces its retirement. The new Holy Rite will be led by Angels Hickson, recommended by the Holy Rite. When Kesha said this, her eyes fell on He-11, who was now on the right below her, and finally looked away with a slight disappointment. Hexie naturally felt Kesha's eyes and what they meant, but she had made up her mind that the future of the angels needed the younger generation to shoulder the responsibility. If she doesn't retire now, it will be too late when there is a full-scale conflict between Angel and Styx in the future. Angels Hickson, are you willing to accept such an important task and complete the maintenance and scientific research of Merlot Heaven in the future? Following Kesha's inquiry, a female angel with short blonde neck-length hair, half kneeling on the red carpet in the middle of the Mellow Hall, raised her face and answered solemnly. I am willing. Angels Hickson hereby swears that he will do his best to maintain the Merlot Heaven, integrate the scientific research departments, and contribute all his strength to the scientific and technological progress of the angel civilization. The angel's heartwarming words echoed throughout the Merlot Hall, and the sincerity of his tone was affirmed by many angels present. The normal inheritance change of the Holy Right Wing did not cause much turmoil. After all, the scientific research angels were not like the battle angels who were all focused on the position of the Holy Left Wing. In addition, He-11 had paved the way for his student Xin before this, so there were no surprises in the transfer of power of the Holy Right. Of course, although He-11 has retreated from the first line to the second line, this does not mean that she will no longer participate in the scientific research projects of Merlot Heaven. It's just that some regular scientific research projects are no longer involved, but some major scientific research projects are still under He-11's name. If the new Holy Rites Hickson wants to study some special projects and topics, he needs to form his own scientific research team. As for Hexie, after handing over some regular scientific research projects, he took his other student Qingning to a galaxy adjacent to the Marrow planetary system and established a new research institute. Just as He-11 was observing the battle data transmitted back by Angel Wen and watching the scenes of the fight between Ka-Ming and Angel Wen playing back and forth, Kesha suddenly visited here. I didn't expect you to come here after retiring. The environment is quite good, but there are too few angels. Don't you feel lonely settling here? He-11 freezes the scene, and the chair rotates to face Kesha, who steps into the room behind him. It doesn't matter how he spreads his hands. If the environment was not good, would I choose this place? And Queen Keisha, now she has time to deal with political affairs, why does she have time to come to me? Aren't you leaving all the government affairs to Angel Yan? He-11 said it casually, but unexpectedly Kesha actually nodded, which made He-11 slightly stunned. Why, you are allowed to retire and offload the heavy routine scientific research tasks to Angels Hickson, but you are not allowed to be the king of angels and be lazy occasionally. As she spoke, Kesha sat on a seat in the room, minding her own business, and cast an inquiring gaze on the still picture. Seeing this, He-11 told the battle data uploaded by Angel Wen and the abnormality he felt when fighting against the fallen angel Ka-Ming. You are saying that Carl has developed a void engine that can be used in combat. Kesha frowned slightly when she heard this. This was not good news for the angel. Hexie acted very calmly. She carried out a tea set and started pouring tea for herself and Kesha. She took a sip before speaking. Yes, according to the information we have collected before, this is most likely the third-generation void engine developed by Carl. But don't worry too much, Our secondary biological engine has also been developed into the second generation. Keisha did not frown because of Hexy's words. She had understood the characteristics and test information of the sub-biological engine, but it was obviously not as good as the void engine of Kaming in the combat data. Even if Kesha is not very good at hand-to-hand combat, it can be seen that Angel Wen is far superior to Kaming in terms of combat level. However, the void energy released by the void engine seriously interfered with her performance, which resulted in several good kills. The opportunity was wasted. But we are still at a disadvantage. From this combat data, you should be able to see how big the difference between warriors equipped with void engines and those without void engines will be. Facing Kesha's words, Hexy explained. Queen Keisha, the sub-organism engine and the void engine are not following the same path. Although the two are essentially similar, the sub-biological engine focuses more on increasing energy and stabilizing existing physical rules. But according to the data we have obtained now, the main function of the void engine is to disrupt the existing physical laws and destroy the stability of conventional energy. I can't judge which one is better between the two, but I believe that the research direction of sub-biological engines is not wrong. And I now have a direction for the development of the third-generation sub-biological engine. Since Carl chose to disrupt and destroy the laws of physics, why don't we choose to be stable and control the laws of physics? When He 11 said this, his eyes were full of confidence. Seeing this, Kesha's originally worried heart calmed down a little. Because He 11's words are worthy of belief. The reason why the angel civilization can achieve its current status is He 11, the founder of angel supergenetic technology. In fact, what Hexy didn't tell Kesha was that Binghua, who was far away in the world of justice, had developed many technologies that could be called black technology by taking advantage of the characteristics of the sub-biological engine. According to the recent exchange between her and Binghua about the development of the sub-biological engine, Binghua claimed that with the help of the sub-biological engine and Samilo's huge technological database, she discovered a special quantum energy that she ordered as stasis energy. As long as an object is eroded and irradiated by this energy, its particle motion will gradually slow down or even stop. If the intensity is high enough, it can even cause a local time stop. When he first heard this, Hexy felt incredible. The subject of time has always been a subject that angels and the former Super Seminary wanted to explore. Let's not talk about angels. Even the Super Theological Seminary in its heyday has only just begun the internal subject of time, and there has been no progress in subsequent research. But now Binghua told herself that she had stopped time. Although it only slowed down the special phenomenon caused by the particle motion, it was incredible enough. Let's not mention the above for now, but the information revealed in Binghua's words undoubtedly strengthened He 11's confidence in developing a sub-biological engine. And he also developed a new idea for her, that is, why not use the sub-biological engine to do research? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 989. The World of Justice, the World of Makra, the School of Dimensional Space Applications, and the Space Transfer Laboratory. Teacher, the space transmission frame has been prepared and the coordinate points have been locked. An operator wearing a white protective suit operated the void light screen in front of him a few times, and the half of the cylindrical shell behind the isolation window began to be filled with jumping blue energy lightning. Very good, prepare for the 16,320th teleportation experiment. This time it must be successful. An old man with gray hair on his temples clenched his fists and stared at the teleportation machine behind the isolation window. After getting the authorization from his teacher, the operator pressed the start button, and the next moment dazzling blue lightning began to dance next to the conveyor. A small dog used in the experiment in the transmitter kept howling in fear, but the transmitter itself was well isolated from the energy lightning from the outside world, and it did not suffer any harm. As the energy of the transmitter reached the critical point, a white energy wave suddenly descended from the top of the transmitter and enveloped the small dog. The next second, the small dog disappeared without a trace along with the falling energy. At the same time, in another isolation room dozens of meters away, a dazzling light flashed in the originally empty half-cylindrical frame, and a small dog suddenly appeared in it. In an instant, people in the two research laboratories fell into a carnival. After tens of thousands of teleportation experiments, their research team finally found the coordinate law of space teleportation. After that, it is only necessary to carry out multiple transmissions to collect coordinate data. It can be said that the research on microspace transmission machines has come to an end. Of course, they are just one of the many successful research groups in the world of MaleProtagonist who have reverse-researched purifier technology. After years of research and development, and exploration, many of the technologies that Seminary once collected from extinct civilizations have become reality. There are many black technologies that even Binghua has to praise, and the microspace teleporter is one of them. This and the gate of space and time are completely different concepts. It can directly turn objects into quanta, open a space channel, and send them there. It is undoubtedly more efficient than the gate of time and space. Compared with these, its biggest advantage is that it can be mounted on a battleship, so that the battleships of the Justice world no longer have to carry out orbital airborne operations with huge casualties. It is completely possible to transport the troops it carries to the combat area through this technology to quickly build a defense line and establish a safe crocodile landing zone. In the God's Throne world, in the Stellar Ring Laboratory, in the void in front of Binghua is a humanoid mechanical warrior with a rather complex structure. This was an individual that Binghua selected from the half-finished executor class under Seminary. She was going to use it to conduct some technical verifications to better use the technology obtained from Seminary. Queen, I don't think you need to be so diligent. After all, it's just a machine. Jingnan saw that his queen was tinkering with this thing all day long and was addicted to it, so he persuaded her. Jingnan, you don't understand. I have long wanted to make a powerful humanoid combat weapon myself, but I have always had no ideas and no time. Now that I finally got this, I must finish her. There was a hint of excitement in Binghua's tone. She was quite interested in transforming the enforcer-level mechanical warrior. Now that the world of justice is free of the threats of the Eternal Ascended One and the Chaos Virus, Binghua has gradually begun to develop some new hobbies. In addition to weapon development, she is also obsessed with making powerful mechanical warriors, commonly known as handheld figurines. Of course, she has not forgotten some research projects, but just regards them as some spices in boring research. However, the mechanical warrior she made was not just a show-off, but a super war weapon that combined the latest cutting-edge technology from the world of justice and the advantages of Semilo's superior materials science. Not to mention that it can fight against the third generation of gods, but it can still be done by making them scramble. If it were not for the higher plasticity of the god's body, the cost of mass manufacturing such war weapons would be significantly lower. This is only for Binghua personally, because she can synthesize many substances by herself, or use a sub-biological engine to modify the physical rules to create them. This resulted in the mechanical warrior modified by Binghua to be as powerful as a supermodel. Binghua planned to release her into the known universe in a while, and stopped by China to see how Tokayo's Hero Company plan was going. If he doesn't do well, Binghua doesn't mind personally formulating a training plan for them so that they can grow into qualified super warriors. The portal at the edge of the known universe was once the final battlefield of the physical war. It was here that the Angels and the new Kamigawa Pan-Civilization Alliance defeated the main force of the Triangle Civilization. This made the triangular body fearful of the Angels and the new Kamigawa of the known universe. In order to preserve the integrity of their own race, the triangular body finally chose to completely withdraw from the known universe and escape into the silent and dark deep space of the universe. But starting 1,000 years ago, the border guard angels stationed here gradually discovered that the triangle reappeared outside the boundaries of the known universe. However, they were just wandering and did not attack the area where the border guard angels were stationed. The border guard angels entered a state of alert for hundreds of years. Merlot Heavenly Court also frequently sent more troops here and conducted legion rotations to relieve the mental pressure on the angels guarding the border. The reason why the angelic civilization chose to send heavy troops to garrison the portal of the triangular civilization into the known universe is entirely because it is too close to the order of justice. If the Merlot Heavenly Court does not take preventive measures and allows the triangle to rush into the scope of the righteous order, it will be a complete disaster. But in the past decade or so, triangle movements have become much more frequent than before. A border guard angel team was on routine patrol when they suddenly discovered that in the space ahead, triangular creatures that were several meters long and looked like manta rays were approaching in their direction. In an instant, an alarm sounded inside the angel guard base, which had been silent in the star field for tens of thousands of years. One by one, the border guard angels who were taking a rest or who had just returned from patrol immediately flew out from the border guard angel base, fully armed and wearing armor. In addition, the defense facilities built around the angel guard base were also activated, and invisible barriers and energy traps began to appear. At the same time, floating on the asteroid fragments surrounding the angel guard base, spear turrets of light appeared, their muzzles pointed in the direction of the triangle found in the intelligence. Before the triangle approached the border guard angel base, several border guard angel teams had already encountered it in advance. Faced with the sudden appearance of the triangular creature, the guarding angels did not panic and retreated while blocking. The attack wave formed by flame bombing and flame slash did not cause any damage to the incoming triangles, but it delayed their progress well. The commander of the Border Guard Angel Corps, who is located in the Border Guard Angel base, is paying close attention to the battle scenes between the Border Guard Angel team and the Triangle to assess the biological threat from the Triangle. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 991. As the Border Guard Angel base detected the exact location of the triangular creature in the universe, and the Border Guard Angel's vision was locked at the scene. The Angel Guard base immediately launched a wave of fire bombings on the space area where the triangle was located. The muzzles of the spear of light turrets shot out cone-shaped energy rays, which spanned dozens of kilometers and fell among the triangle creatures. At first, when the spear of light approached the triangular creature in the front row, it was deflected strangely to one side, but as subsequent spears of light came one after another, the triangular creature was gradually unable to support the force field that deflected the attack, and its flesh and blood body was directly penetrated, like a grilled fish penetrated by a bamboo stick. The number of triangular creatures that attacked the Angel Guard base began to decrease under the fire bombardment. By the time they approached the Angel Guard base, it was only 70% of what it was at the beginning. As the distance increases, the triangular creature in front can already feel the range of the angel guarding base. Some triangular creatures could not help but scream excitedly in the mental force field, but what happened immediately was like a blow to the head of the triangular creatures. The space area of more than 10 kilometers where they were located suddenly began to heat up rapidly, and the next moment the nearest star suddenly became active, blooming with a dazzling brilliance. Then a raging stellar storm swept over, and the blazing high temperature and ion flow, pulled by invisible forces, flooded the triangle like an overturning roar. By the time the outermost defense line of the Border Guard Angel base went into cooling, nearly half of the triangles had disappeared without a trace. The remaining triangles stopped outside the first line of defense, staring at the universe that had just swallowed nearly half of their companions, hesitating and not daring to move forward. Finally, after a triangular creature screamed in distress, the remaining triangular bodies turned around and headed back in the direction they came from. The angel did not pursue it, because the direction in which the triangle retreated was the starry sky that the angel had never set foot on. It was desolate and mysterious, and there were not many stars. But as long as you continue to move forward, you can see a blue galaxy group, which is a paradise for triangular creatures and is dotted with a large number of submerged planets. This is the scene observed by the detection equipment set up here by MaleProtagonist. At the same time, according to the deciphered biological language of the triangle and the information collected, it is the birthplace of the triangle and their base camp. Moreover, they have conquered their own river system and established a vast interstellar empire named Mottled Blue. It is precisely because of this that Merlot Heavenly Court did not continue to explore forward, because going forward would have entered the sphere of influence of the Mottled Blue Empire. If they were angered by that time and led to a large-scale invasion by the Triangle, it would be the biggest disaster in the known universe. Disaster. Therefore, Merlot Heavenly Court established many border guard angel bases in this star field similar to the Mottled Blue Empire, built border defense lines, and stationed millions of angel legions. They are the cornerstone of the angel civilization's ability to stand at the pinnacle of the universe. The leaders among them are all elites who have fought hard from the male and female angel wars and physical wars. This is one of the reasons why Carl has never wanted to break up with the Merlot Heavenly Court. Otherwise, millions of angel legions will repeat the holy crusade of the physical war 20,000 years ago, and drive him to the known universe just like Hwayet. But Carl also knew that the Merlot Heavenly Court could not easily recall the guarding angels, as that would allow the triangular creatures of the Mottled Blue Empire to see the opportunity and enter the known universe. In such a righteous order, the angelic protection that attracts weak civilizations the most will disappear, and the order that angels have finally established will collapse on its own. In Merlot Heaven, Kesha felt a little heavy after reading the recent information reported by the border guard angels. She had a premonition that the third physical war was likely to start again in the near future. This time the pressure came to the angels. The Kamigawa Pan-Civilization Alliance that once carried the banner of physical warfare was no longer there, and had turned into God-making civilizations that were hostile to each other. If the triangular organisms fully invade the known universe, the angel civilization will not have a problem in protecting itself, but there will be no spare power to push the triangular organisms back. This requires the concerted efforts of the entire known universe to do so. But according to the information collected overtly and covertly by the investigating angels over the past 100 years, there seems to be a hidden anti-angel alliance in the known universe. The wanton expansion of the righteous order has made many God-making civilizations feel uneasy, and their interests have been harmed because of this. Kesha once won over these civilizations and found that most of them only followed the angels' ideas of justice on the surface, but were still secretly upgrading their armaments. Just when Kesha had a headache about the triangular creature, in the world of justice, Binghua had completed the final debugging of his work. In her laboratory, she saw a figure who looked exactly like her being stagnated in mid-air by a force field. The silver living metal quickly clung to the curvaceous body, transforming into the shape of the Angel King's armor. As all this was completed, the mechanical warrior who looked exactly like Binghua opened his eyes, and the bionic black pupils reflected the figure of Binghua opposite him. The only regret is that the facial expression is very stiff and lifeless. There is nothing that can be done about it. Although the appearance uses the most cutting-edge bionic technology to simulate Binghua's own appearance, it is still a dead thing after all. However, Binghua had a way to solve this problem. She began to connect to the computing core of the mechanical warrior codenamed 00, and used 00 to stretch her body. In the end, Binghua simply sat on the chair in the laboratory and devoted himself wholeheartedly to the operation of this body. The perspective immediately changed to 00. At first, I was a little uncomfortable with the perspective of constantly scanning the surrounding things, but Binghua soon optimized the perspective. If it weren't for the body overview icon below the viewing angle and the available armament logo, it would be almost the same as the normal viewing angle. The reason why they are not hidden is because if there is no body outline display, if the mechanical body is damaged in any place, it will not be intuitively felt. After all, Binghua has not installed bionic nerves in this metal body. As for the weapon markings, this is even simpler. There are only a limited number of weapons for this aircraft, but they are incomparable to Binghua's arsenal. The logo is marked by Binghua in order to distinguish the difference between this body and the main body. After trying to move for a while, Binghua said, "Heavenly Sword, install a perception drive system." The simulated 5 senses start to take effect at the next moment. This is Binghua's solution. It directly uses simulation algorithms to solve the problem of bionic nerves, and the sensory sensitivity can be adjusted freely. In this way, the prototype codenamed 00 is declared complete. The next step is to release it into the known universe through the gate of time and space and the jump gate, and use it as a clone that can quickly project the consciousness of the body. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 992. After completing the final debugging of No 00, Binghua ordered Jingnan to send it to the gate of time and space, load it into a personal carrier, and release it into the known universe. The micro-carrying device is the micro-aircraft used by Seminary to launch the destroyer sequence mechanical warriors. Its long-distance flight speed is not much faster than that of Angels. However, this thing was quite expensive to make, so after the Justice World understood its technology, it did not manufacture it in large quantities, but only made a small batch for its own use. In the Fringe Galaxy, in the Heavenly Palace, Huaya looked at the beast warriors lined up neatly below, equipped with exoskeleton armor, the male angel army in the sky, and the Titan warriors who were wrapped in special metal armor and looked like giant gods. At this moment, his heart was full of pride, including the Angel Legion equipped with Styx standard void weapons, an entire Titan fleet, and the Beast Empire's army measured in hundreds of millions. Huaya felt that his Tiangong group had never been so powerful. Holy Kesha, look at it. This king will trample your justice under his feet, so that you can only submit obediently to the palace of heaven in the future. This is Huaya's heartfelt voice, and it is also what he has thought about day and night for thousands of years. Today's Tiangong group is different from before. With Karl's secret support and recruitment over the years, the Tiangong guards under Huaya have now expanded to hundreds of thousands, and a group of extremely outstanding warriors have emerged. With Huaya's unremitting efforts, he finally had a few more god-level angels under his command, who could touch the sacred wings of Merlot heaven. Seeing that all the generals under his command had arrived, Huaya stood up from his throne in the heavenly palace, walked to the edge of the platform, looked down at everyone below, and said loudly, "Everyone, today is a special day. We have been preparing for this day for hundreds of years. Now we have powerful legions that can sweep across the entire known universe, as well as titans and gods of war who can influence the tide of battle. It's time to take back what we have lost. Whether it is my throne as the King of Angels, or the homeland and lost glory that you once endured, we must use our own hands to take it back." Huaya raised his right hand to make a virtual grasp, as if he was holding justice and order in his palm. Immediately, the male angels began to shout the name King Huaya excitedly. Seeing this, the beast warriors also quickly joined in. Only the Titans were indifferent to this. They only have a cooperative relationship with Huaya, and their purpose is just to defeat the female angel, rebuild the former Titan god's domain, and restore the former glory of the Titan god clan. Seeing that the morale of the male angels present was so high, Huaya waved his hand. "Start, target Angel Nebula." As Huaya's order was issued, the Titan giant ship, the Tiangong flagship, and other large and small animal-shaped civilized warships originally parked in the sky began to move. Huaya also boarded his flagship, the new Tiangong, which was a replica of the Tiangong. It was like a spaceship, with Huaya's mobile palace sitting on it, and the front end had a side similar to Huaya's face. A somewhat similar metal relief. In the Styx Galaxy and Death Song Academy, Snow is reporting to Carl about Hwaye's entry into the known universe. In a few days, he will be in contact with the guarding angels established by Merlo Heavenly Court outside the scope of the Order of Justice. My God, do you think Hwaye can break into the Order of Justice? Snow was always a little worried about Hwaye. After all, he was Kesha's defeated enemy. Don't worry about Hwaye, the angels guarding the border shouldn't be able to stop his army. But we need to keep an eye on Kesha's whereabouts, and what we need to do next is crucial. If we fail, hundreds of years of our efforts will be in vain. Carl looked at the starry sky and said in a deep voice, but then he turned to look at Snow. How many God-making civilizations are willing to participate in our plan so far? Report to my God, except for a few civilizations, most civilizations are willing to contribute. Of course, they need you, my God, to hide their identities for them. They could not afford the price of an all-out war with the Merlo Heavenly Court. Hearing this, Carl frowned slightly and said something dissatisfied. They are just a group of short-sighted people. How can we create a new order without first breaking the old order? After speaking, Carl stretched out his hand, and two purple light groups suddenly appeared, and then turned into two slender silver bullets, with an unknown black aura surging on the surface. Oh my God! This is it! Snow felt a destructive energy radiate from these two small bullets, making him feel as if his body might disintegrate at any time. A special bullet made of void particles as the main material. There are some disposable micro-void engines inside, and I entered the material annihilation algorithm into it. Any material that comes into contact with it will begin to disintegrate itself immediately until it is consumed into nothingness. Even Carl felt quite distressed when he took out two void particles at one time to make such a one-time weapon. But for future plans, this price must be paid. Fortunately, void particles can be obtained by blowing up black holes, otherwise, it would be really costly. But even so, the Shen Yuan plan must be carried out, otherwise it will not be able to achieve his goal. A few months later, in Merlo Heaven, Kesha received an urgent communication request from the border guard angels from the Edge Star Field of Israel. Queen Kesha, just one day ago Hwaye led the fleet of animal civilization to attack the border guard base where we are located, and now he is still attacking us fiercely. Hearing the words of the guarding angel, Kesha clenched her fists instantly and her eyes became cold. Hwaye! How dare he? Kesha didn't believe it. She knew very well what kind of character Hwaye was. Ever since the second war between angels and demons, when Hwaye led an invasion and was repelled by Ruanning's angel warriors, the male angels have never stood out again. Therefore, the number of guarding angels in that star field was gradually reduced. Now there are only 2 angel legions and less than 100,000 border guarding angels there. But now is not the time to think about why Hwaye attacked the border guard angels, but to figure out whether Hwaye's attack was harassment or a breakthrough. What are the strength of Hwaye's troops? Can you stop him? Facing Kesha's question, the commander of the border guard angel showed a wry smile. Queen Kesha, Hwaye seems to be desperate this time, as countless warships surround our base. If it weren't for the several lines of defense at the border guard base and defense facilities, I would have no choice but to lead my men in a breakout. Otherwise, staying here will only end with the entire army being annihilated, so Queen Kesha, I need support, especially the support of the Skyblade battle group. What we are facing this time is not only Hwaye, but also a new physical war. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 993. After listening to the report from the border guard angels, Kesha had a profound understanding of the difficulties faced by the border guard angels in the Fringe Star territory. Physical war? Since they want to fight, let's fight it. I will completely crush their confidence so that they will never dare to step into the scope of the righteous order again. Kesha's words echoed in the communication, causing a strange color to appear in the eyes of the Angel Guard commander on the other side. She had not seen Queen Kesha like this for thousands of years. After Kesha finished speaking with a cold expression, she opened another communication line. Yan, where are you? Queen Kesha, I am in the Sark galaxy, searching for a hidden great demon. Abandon your current mission, return to Merlot Heaven immediately, and issue an emergency summons to our affiliated civilizations. Yan, who was flying in the universe on the other side, heard these words. His expression immediately became solemn. Queen Kesha, what happened? It's nothing. You'll know when you get back. Remember to inform Leng and ask her to come back too. Understood, Queen Kesha, I will return to Merlot Heaven immediately. Seeing that Queen Kesha didn't say anything, Yan didn't ask any more questions and directly turned around and flew towards the nearest Stargate. I have issued a summons order, and the Skyblade battle group will be assembled soon. You only need to hold on for 2 days before the first batch of reinforcements will arrive. And I will accompany the second batch of reinforcements to support you. After Kesha hung up Kazuhiko's communication, she informed the commander-in-chief of the border guard angels about the arrival time of the reinforcements. Thank you Queen Kesha for your support. We will definitely block Hwaya from the justice order. The guarding angel promised, but Kesha shook her head slightly. That's not necessary. If you can't hold on, I'll allow you to retreat. Compared with the border security of the righteous order, your survival is more important to the angel civilization, so you must preserve your strength as much as possible. When I arrive with the reinforcements, Hwaya will be wiped out. Kesha's tone was matter of fact, as if Hwaya, who had invaded the just order, could be wiped out with a snap of her fingers. A major event happened in the world of justice order. The evil ancient god Hwaya, who was driven out of the angel civilization by Kesha, the king of gods tens of thousands of years ago, has returned again with the beast body civilization, which was the loser of the physical war, and is now attacking the borders of justice order. The angel civilization also issued a summons to all affiliated civilizations under its command, and civilizations such as Saber, Kebri, and Sakaz responded immediately. As soon as the Sakaz civilization's home planet received the summons order, the Sakaz civilization began to assemble the troops around the home star. The missionary knights formed into legions began to assemble, and a large number of missionaries boarded the carrier ship. The Kebrians urgently gathered the interstellar marines stationed on several planets, and rushed towards the nearest Stargate together with their own fleet. The same goes for other affiliated civilizations. They quickly assembled their standing armies and used the Stargate to go to the Merlot Heaven. They planned to go to the battlefield through the Stargate distribution center there. Otherwise, by the time these civilizations slowly fly over on their own, the war would have ended long ago. In the Mellow Heavenly Court, in just one day, the Skyblade fleet, totaling 5 Skyblade combat units, was assembled and prepared. After conducting the final system self-examination, the Skyblade fleet tore open space directly near Merrow Heaven, anchored the space rift, and created a temporary large wormhole. Then a total of 5 Skyblades carried nearly 200,000 angel warriors, entered the wormhole, and provided support to the border star field of the Order of Justice. This has almost exhausted the standing angel army of Merlot Heaven. Currently, except for the 50,000 elite angels responsible for guarding Merlot Heaven and the Merlot high-level angel guards, there is no power other than the King of Angels and the Holy Wings. The reason why Kesha did not follow the first wave of supporting Skyblade fleet to the front line was because she had to wait for reinforcements from affiliated civilizations to arrive. Whether it was the Merlot guards, herself, or the Holy Wings left behind, they were all to prevent accidents from happening, causing reinforcements from affiliated civilizations to fail to arrive on time. The reason why they attach so much importance to the reinforcements of subordinate civilizations is because of the long war and the confrontation with demons. The angel civilization gradually discovered that although the angels had an invincible army, their numbers were too small. 1,000,000 battle angel legions may seem like a lot, but when thrown into a large-scale war with a galaxy as the battlefield, they won't even make a splash. Often it can only destroy the enemy's deployment locally, but cannot comprehensively encircle and annihilate its own enemies. Therefore, angels need a large number of affiliated civilized armies to do the finishing work and eliminate those enemies that were defeated by the angel legion. Another reason is that she is afraid that Huaya will bypass the defense line of the border angels and enter the righteous order to do some fancy work. If this is really the case, Kesha will let Huaya know why the flowers are so red. You must know that the Merlot guards, who are about to join Kesha in supporting the border angels, are a pure high-level angel battle group, with a full number of 1,000, and all of its members are battle angels who have experienced hundreds of battles. Order of Justice, the Edge Star territory, the border guard angel base, densely packed warships are spread across the starry sky around it, and raindrop-like attacks continue to fall towards the space-time deflection shield of the border guard angel base, trying to overload the shield with unparalleled firepower. But when the border guard angel headquarters was established, the protection here was built according to the specifications of Merlot Heaven, and an energy channel was built with the nearest star. This makes the base of the border guard angels extremely abundant in energy. In addition, the space-time deflection shield can evenly distribute single-point attacks. As a result, the Hui Angel Group fleet has been bombarding for more than 24 hours and still cannot overload the shield. You must know that the shields of several ordinary border guard angel bases that we encountered before did not last more than 10 hours. Inside the border guard angel base, the commander-in-chief of the border guard angels is sitting in his seat. Below him are a number of scientific research angels who are monitoring various data. How long can the space-time deflection shield last? Report, Commander-in-Chief, the energy channel between us and the star was cut off by Huaye's people an hour ago. The remaining energy reserve can support another day under the current attack intensity. Hearing this, the Commander-in-Chief of the Border Guard Angels clicked his tongue in displeasure. There was still 1 day left before the reinforcements promised by Queen Keisha would arrive. However, it is not impossible to support the past, that is, let the space-time deflection shield enter a low-power local interception mode, restore energy while resisting the bombing of the enemy fleet, and open the door to allow the enemy to rush in for hand-to-hand combat. At the same time, the powerful defensive firepower of the Border Guard Angel base can also be put to use to counter-attack the enemy fleet surrounding the base, instead of being beaten unilaterally like now. Thinking of the Commander-in-Chief of the Border Guard Angels, she no longer hesitated. She now has nearly 100,000 Border Guard Angel soldiers under her command, and they are definitely not something that Huaye's group of crooked melons and jujubes can easily take down. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 994. This turtle shell is really hard. My king's army has been bombarding it for more than a day and it hasn't been broken yet. Huaye sat on his throne, frowning and staring at the projection screen in the middle of the hall, which showed the bombed Border Guard Angel base. King, you don't need to worry. There are only tens of thousands of female angels there. As long as the shield is broken, it doesn't matter whether they are killed or scratched according to your wishes. Kunyu said with a smile below that they had been fighting smoothly from the beginning. Although the female angels are powerful, their number is too small. With their absolutely superior strength, they cannot stop their attack at all. It was only a matter of time before the Border Guard Angel base that was blocking their path was breached. At this moment, a communication message popped up. It was the male angel responsible for monitoring the on-site data. King Huaye, the shield strength of the female angel base began to weaken just now. Their energy reserves may not last long. Hearing what the angel under his command said, Huaye, who was upset, suddenly became interested. "Oh, that's just right, I've been waiting impatiently for a long time. If this king's army is blocked here for too long by this small base, how will it be able to break into the Merlot heavenly court? King, I am willing to lead the Guard Angel Legion as the vanguard and offer victory to the king." A male angel with a heroic face in the palace walked out of the queue and half knelt down to pray. "Yes, yes, this king needs warriors like you, but now is not the time for you to appear. Go ahead and let the beasts from the new Shima Empire go up first. There are so many of them. They can just use them to consume the energy of those girls." Huaye waved his hands and said, "This war has just begun, and he is not willing to let his direct descendants take the lead now." Outside, just when the various warship commanders in the Hui group were surprised by the weakening of the Angel's shield, the opponent's shield suddenly disappeared. But the light beams emitted by the battleship they were on were blocked by small pieces of translucent orange shields and exploded into balls of fire. But before they could react, dense cone-shaped beams of light shot out from the Angel Guard base, passing through the orange shield that was appearing and disappearing at that time, and landed on the densely packed Joint Fleet Group. Immediately, a surge of fire struck several crude beast-shaped civilization warships, which exploded at any time. Thousands of beast-shaped warriors from the Shima Empire were turned into cosmic dust. In an instant, the beast-shaped civilization warship approaching the Angel Guard base encountered a head-on attack from the Spear of Light defense facilities in the Angel Guard base. Except for the Titan battleship and the Tiangong mothership, which were not damaged, the beast civilization damaged nearly 10 firepower ships, and then withdrew from the range of the Angel's defensive weapons. But soon the order from above came down, from the Supreme King Huaye. The Shima Empire army would serve as the vanguard and forcefully break through the landing base of the female angel. When the senior officials of the new Shima Empire heard this, they knew that they were being used as cannon fodder, but no one dared to say anything, because they knew that as long as they raised objections, they would be greeted with death. As the saying goes, "I would rather die than you die." The top leaders of the Shima Empire began to assemble their own troops. The first batch totaled 300,000 soldiers. The Shima Beast warriors were mobilized and entered the airdrop cabin. The second batch of 500,000 soldiers prepare for airdrop. Immediately, nearly 30 carrier ships, under the cover of dozens of firepower ships and Titan ships, rushed towards the hedgehog-like border Angel base. From time to time along the way, a carrier ship could not withstand the continuous bombardment of the Spear of Light and turned into a bright fireball. However, as the distance increased, the carrier ship of the new Shima Empire finally reached the distance where it could be airdropped. The next moment, one by one, the airdrop pods were launched like cannonballs. Tens of thousands of airdrop pods emitting tail flames immediately ushered in the interception of the defensive weapons of the Angel Guard base. However, there are too many airdrop pods dropped by the beast civilization, so many that the Angel's defense facilities cannot defeat them at all. In the end, nearly half of the airdrop pods passed through the fire blockade of the Angel defensive weapons and landed around the Angel Guard base. Immediately, a new Shima Empire beast warrior wearing grey power armor and holding a heavy rifle squeezed out of the airdrop pod with a strange scream and launched an attack on the nearby Angel Palace. The border guard angels, who had already prepared for the war, rushed out of the palace in small teams under the orders of the grassroots command angels. "Kill the winged woman. The commander-in-chief will reward you greatly. Women, slaves, better treatment is waiting for you." Among the animal warriors of the new Shima Empire, the captains of thousands, and centurions began to encourage the morale of their soldiers in communications. Although the words were simple, they were very effective. The beast warriors rushed forward with red eyes and howling, but the next moment, a series of flaming slashes that were several meters long fell from above. Some of the beast warriors were directly cut in half, and more were blown into pieces by the subsequent burst of energy. The thick-looking armor on their bodies obviously could not give them sufficient protection. What followed was a bombardment of fiery energy, each shot capable of evaporating beast-like warriors hundreds of meters in radius. In just a few minutes, the new Shima Empire army that landed on the asteroid where the border guard Angel base was lost tens of thousands of people. But before the Angel could breathe a sigh of relief, thousands more airdrop pods broke through the fire net and hit the ground. The number of beast warriors of the new Shima Empire that had just been cut in half became more than before. The commander-in-chief of the Angel Guard, who was sitting in the command center of the Angel Palace, frowned at the scene and quickly understood the enemy's plan. Although the Angel warriors are powerful, and their endurance combat capability is the best in the entire universe, they cannot always launch large-scale energy strikes. Because the energy that exists in an area is limited, if it is continuously used and the recovery speed cannot keep up, it will become more and more difficult to launch energy strikes. The Angel's own dark energy transformation alone can only sustain the use of dark energy cutting and a small amount of flame bombardment. Therefore, the commander-in-chief of the border guard Angels immediately issued an order to divide the defending Angel Legion into 2 batches and fight in rotation. This is to allow all the Angel soldiers guarding the border to have time to rest, and try to prevent combat attrition due to mental exhaustion. The new Shima Empire fought very hard, but no matter how hard they tried, they could not break into the Angel Palace that was so close at hand. The defense force composed of tens of thousands of Angel warriors was too strong. After a few hours, the uneven surface of the asteroid in front of the Angel Palace was covered with a carpet of flesh and twisted metal. Layers of short positions are everywhere like garbage dumps, and nearly 2 million soldiers of the Shima Empire have been put into this meat grinder. But the cruel reality told them that this was not enough, and they needed to fill it with more life.